Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. Some of you have known me as Mr. March. You go back to the Scorephones, got the nicknames of Mr. March and the Lord of the Big Dance back in the 1980s and early 1990s. Make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube videos here on the OffshoreInsiders.com channel. And you follow me on all social at Offshore Insider. Now, again, because of character limitations on X, Offshore Insider is a place to follow me on X and Instagram and all that other stuff, X formerly known as Twitter or whatnot. I am going to have a free pick for you on the day game, Pittsburgh and Stanford. And we're going to have a full betting preview, and make sure you sign up at OffshoreInsiders.com. But if you just want our college basketball picks, remember my sister site, now PicksDepot.com. You can not only get my picks, and you can get them by sport, like I said, just college basketball. Maybe you want to sign up for the full season Major League Baseball. Do that at Picks Depot. And we also got the biggest plays from the hottest handicappers in their highest rated sports. One of the reasons that we got rid of the old Master Lock line, we knew we were going to partner up with them on this site, Picks Depot. But if you just want Joe Duffy's picks, every pick, every sport, the best place to still get it is at OffshoreInsiders.com. The opening line for Pittsburgh and Stanford saw Stanford minus 4.5 with a total of 139. There hasn't been, at press time, a lot of line movement. Stanford, the best line available, is minus 4.5, minus 108. Pittsburgh plus 5.5 at minus 108. The best totals, over 139.5, but you can get that at even money if you do shop around, and under 139.5 at minus 110. Quite frankly, our sources didn't really have much splits on the side. We do have a little bit of leaning on the total. Turns out 83% of tickets and 84% of the money is on the over. So big, strong action coming in on the over. Pittsburgh enters this game 16-15 against the spread, but they are covering by an average of minus 0.8. So even though they have a positive spread record, they're actually slightly, very slightly in the negative when it comes to margin of cover, which again is similar to points, which is similar to your points per game margin, but it's relative to the point spread. So, for example, if a 5-point underdog loses by 4, they covered by 1. Well, you average that over a full season. So the margin of cover, Pittsburgh slightly on the negative side and slightly on the positive side in their overall record. Stanford at 16-4-1, but they're covering by an average of 0.5 points per game. So nothing really to report there. Now, which team is hotter? Well, if you look on the surface, you would say the Pittsburgh Panthers have covered 5 straight, though 2 of those games were by a half a point each. Stanford has covered 3 straight, but sit down for this, just like I am. Each one of their covers were by 6.5 or more, and by a combined 38.5 points. Stanford's been an under team this year, going under 17-14, yet their over-under margin is slightly on the overside, plus 0.5 points per game. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh has gone over 16-14-1, but yet they're averaging going under by an average of minus 1.3. Now, this is a very important part. Stanford is very much a bubble team. Probably going to have to win 2, maybe 3 games to safely get in the NCAA tournament. And I told you I'm part of a Telegram group with a bunch of guys, well, not a bunch of guys, a short group of guys, handicappers, bookmakers, people that have been both handicappers and bookmakers, and even a guy who's been owned quite a few major sports books out there. And one of the guys, actually kind of most square guy, he sends me a message. Says Joe Duff, because that's what he's been calling me since I knew him on the Scorephones. He's like, bubble teams went 0-9 so far, and again, he probably got this from VSiN. He likes to listen to VSiN. I don't know where he got that from, but it didn't surprise me. 0-9 against the spread. I said to him, Scummy Al, which is, we won't even tell you what he goes by as a handicapper, but Scummy Al is kind of his real name. There's a story behind that, maybe for another video. I said, yeah, here's an article I wrote in 2008 on a major, I think it was on Ball Hype. I've written similar articles in a lot of sites. But I said, here's an article I wrote in 2008. It was entitled, Bet on Bubble Trouble. And really all sports, going against the teams that need it more is usually a very good bet. The reason the teams are bubble teams is because they haven't played well in must-win games. Now, in the case of Pittsburgh, if they're going to go to the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to wear the glass slippers. So they have a little bit less pressure than Stanford, but they're playing with so-called house money. And the public is going to overvalue Stanford. They do overvalue bubble teams. So for the most part, we like to go against bubble teams. You know, all of our handicapping, a big part is we use all the best power ratings, including Ken Pom that has us basically on the spread. It's 73 to 69. All these have Stanford. Everyone has Stanford winning all the good power ratings. Bartovic, 72 to 68. Haslametrics, 71.85 to 67.51 is the power rating. ESPN BPI has this just a 1.9 point edge for the Stanford Cardinal. Massey Ratings, which has been around almost since the beginning of time as far as the internet is concerned, arguably the oldest, well, I guess maybe Sagarin's is a little bit older. Massey Ratings has us only 72 to 70, but again, everyone with Stanford winning. Action Network has it at minus 5.2, 139.5. Now, we've told you that we've been weighing the luck gap a lot more often. Luck Gap says Pittsburgh is undervalued. I always knew, even before we had all this sophisticated software, all these sophisticated programs, that the most overrated thing when it came to handicapping the spread are straight-up records. And a lot of the sharps early on, they would really exploit, they would do it manually, they would exploit the straight-up records when they would say, for example, especially one guy that's really good in football, where you compare the total yards records to the straight-up records, and he would find overvalued and undervalued team. Well, Ken Pom started it in college basketball, and now Team Rankings does it in every single sport, but they basically take what the metrics say a team's record should be compared to what it is. But again, as far as both Ken Pom and Team Rankings, not everything is a subjective win or loss. Like, they don't have a straight record. Sometimes it's in decimals. So the very accurate luck gap says Stanford has 2.3 more wins than they should have, which means they're overvalued. Pitt has 2.3 less. So that's a fairly high for this time of the year luck gap of 4.6, favoring Pittsburgh, saying they're undervalued. Neutral court edge is for Pittsburgh. It's on a neutral court. By the way, don't make that mistake. A lot of people like to just look at road. Use a dictionary as a handicapping tool. A neutral game is just that. It's not a home game, and it is not a road game. But the Panthers do have what I like to call a neutral court advantage. They're only traveling 363 miles as opposed to the Cardinal, 2,287 miles, and especially early on in the tournament, big in the tournament where, the bodies may have not adjusted. We also have a decent system here. Teams like Stanford, which exceeded the total by 12 or more in consecutive games, go under at a 198, 176, and 3 rate on neutral courts. Still, at the end of the day, our free pick, we are going to go with the points on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Like I said, the luck factor says Pittsburgh is certainly the more underrated team. Betting on bubble trouble is a big, big, big factor. The power ratings admittedly don't give much of an advantage, but a little bit of a slight edge. A couple of them say this game should be much closer. And, as I said, that neutral court advantage, this game obviously being played a lot closer to Pittsburgh than it is to Palo Alto. So the Pittsburgh Panthers will stay within the numbers. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. By the way, we got another fantastic video from me coming up. You definitely do not want to touch that dial.